All right, so number 5 on the back side of our extra practice for our triangles, it says in triangle PQR. And a lot of people are going to read right over that, but you can't. You need to make sure that you're marking that. If you do not mark it, you're going to get confused about why we're doing what. So it says that side PR is congruent to side QR. Make sure that you're tick marking the right sides. Congruent segments or congruent sides get tick marks. However, we also know that if a triangle has 2 equal sides, it's automatically going to have 2 equal angles across from them. Okay, so across from this equal side, if you travel across your triangle, you're going to end up in angle P. And that's going to be one of your equal angles. Across from side PR, if you travel across your triangle, you're going to end up in angle Q. And that's going to be your other. Okay, so again, remember 2 equal sides, 2 equal angles across from them. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what they're giving us. They're going to tell us that PQ, and PQ is a side, and so make sure that the label of 2x plus 6 goes on the outside of your triangle, not in the angles. RP is here on my bottom here, which is 7x minus 15. And that QR is 4x plus 9. And again, this is a side party, so guess who's not invited? 180. 180 is degrees. Sides aren't measured in degrees, so he's not invited to this party of sides. It's only invited when we have the 3 angles inside the triangle. So we got to come up with something different. However, because we're smart enough to mark the 2 equal sides that they told us, these tick marks right here means that these 2 sides are equal. And so if the sides are equal, those expressions must be equal, and so we set them equal. We're going to go ahead and subtract 4x. And we end up with 3x minus 15 equals 9. Add 15. And we end up with 3x equals 9 plus 25 is 24. And we're going to go ahead and divide by 3. And x comes out. Answer the question because it says find the measure of each side. So we're going to go ahead and take our 8 and we're going to go ahead and plug it in. Okay. So on the bottom here, 7 times 8 is 56. 56 minus 15 gives us 41. So RP ends up being 41. Okay. Well, QR should end up being 41 too. So let's do QR next. Because they're tick marked, it means that they're equal. 4 times 8 is 32. 32 plus 9 is also 41. And our last side, which is known as PQ or QP, 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 6 is 22. And now we have the measure of each side. Okay. Part B says to classify the triangle by its sides. Since we have all the sides there and we already see that it has 2 congruent sides. Remember your 2 congruent eyes on your face. This is known as isosceles triangle. Okay, all right, let's take a look at the next one. In number 6, we have triangle PQR. And again, many people are going to read right over that, and you shouldn't because you're going to get confused if you do. Yeah, mark your picture. Those are 2 equal angles, and equal angles get arc marks. And so in angle Q, you're going to go ahead and put an arc mark. In angle R, you're going to put an arc mark. And then you're going to be smart enough to say, hey, if a triangle has 2 equal angles, across from those equal angles are going to be your equal sides. It's going to have 2 of them also. So across from angle R is the side PQ. Across from angle Q is the side PR. Okay. Now we can go ahead and label. It says PQ, which is a side. Remember, sides go outside, so you get 10x minus 14. RP, also a side, is 2x plus 50. And RQ, 4x minus 30. And again, this is a side party. Notice I'm there on the outside. 180 degrees is not welcomed in this picture. However, we don't need 180. Okay? We already know, because we were smart enough to mark the two equal angles and smart enough to mark the two equal sides, that those two sides are equal, which means these two expressions are equal. And so we're going to go ahead and take them and set them equal to each other. Go ahead and subtract 2x. We end up with 8x minus 14 is equal to 50. We're going to go ahead and add 14. We end up with 8x is equal to 64. We're going to divide by 8. And x comes out to equal 8. Okay? And that's actually what they wanted to know in this question. They said find the value of x. All right, so in the next question, next part I should say, it says classify the triangle by its sides. Technically, I don't need to plug in. I know that two of them are equal, but what happens if the third one came out equal? And then I could call it equilateral, but I don't know until I plug in. So I'm going to plug in anyways, but I have a feeling that it's going to be isosceles. Okay, and so if I plug into PQ, 10 times 8 is 80. And 80 minus 14 ends up being 66. Okay. Therefore, PR should also come out to be 66, but let's double check. 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 50 is 66. And now we just have to figure out QR. 4 times 8 is 32. And 32 minus 30 is 2. And so we were right. It has two equal sides, and therefore it is isosceles. Okay. All right, next question. Number 7. It says we have triangle ABC. And it says that AC is extended through C to D. And then it tells us that the measure of angle BAC is 6x plus 10. And it's an angle, so it goes inside the diagram. Then they tell me that angle ABC is 6x minus 10. And that angle B to C to D is 8x plus 20. And I'm hoping that you guys remember this theorem from the other day. But this is the theorem where you take the two non-adjacent interior angles and you add them together, and it will always equal the exterior angle. And so we're going to go ahead and take 6x plus 10, add another non-adjacent interior angle, which is 6x minus 10, and that's going to equal the exterior angle of 8x plus 20. Okay. On the left-hand side, I'm just going to combine my terms, but that ends up being 12x. And positive 10 and negative 10 are actually going to cancel each other out. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 8x. And I'm going to end up with 4x equal to 20. Divide by 4, and x comes out to equal 5. Okay, and that's actually all they wanted in this first question, so I'm going to box that up. Okay. Part B says to classify the triangle by its sides and angles. So I'm going to go ahead and have to plug in. And move this up a little bit. So if I go ahead and look at angle A, 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 plus 10 makes this angle 40 degrees. Angle B, 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 minus 10 is 20. And angle C, although I can't call it angle C, I'm going to have to call it something else. There's two angles at C, and therefore I am not allowed to use one single letter. So I'm going to go back, and I want to know the interior angle at C, and so I'm going to have to use 3 letters and call that angle BAC. C, A. Angle B, C, A. And there's two ways I can find it. I can take 180 degrees in this triangle and take away the 40-degree angle and take away the 20-degree angle, and leaves me 120 degrees left over. Okay. Or I could have plugged into the exterior angle. 8 times 5 is 40, and 40 plus 20 would make this exterior angle 60, and then I could do a linear pair with it. Okay. And get the 120 that way. All right, so now I'm ready to go ahead and classify my triangle based on its sides and angles. And so based on its sides, even though I don't know any, sides S for scalene, none equal, and that is exactly what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and say scalene. If I had 2 angles equal, I'd have 2 sides equal. It'd be isosceles, 3 angles equal, 3 sides equal, and it would be equilateral. Okay. Based on my angles, A for angles, A for acute, but it can't be acute because of this angle here. Can't be can't be a right triangle because it's not 90, no 90s. And this is over 90, less than 180, and so that's an obtuse angle, which makes this an obtuse triangle. And there are my answers. All right, hopefully that helps a little bit with triangles and when to use 180, where to label sides, where to label angles, how to classify, and that should be a good review. Okay, we'll see you guys in the next day of notes.